It's done. Just booked the flights to Spain, and as you can see there, we're leaving in like a week and a half, and this is my, well, officially day number 2 of learning Spanish, so I better step on it to get this language done. If you guys watched my last video, you'll know that I decided to learn Spanish with less than 2 weeks to do it, since my wife and I are going to Spain shortly. Getting fluent in that time frame is obviously not possible, but I was just really curious to see just how far I could get in that little time. And in order to do it, I knew I had to hit the ground running. So in this video, what I would like to share with you guys is exactly what I've been doing throughout my first week of learning Spanish. It will give you a little bit of an idea of what materials I've used, as well as what my daily routines have looked like. You're probably busy like me, but it's still possible to learn a language and to do it fast. The first resource I started with was a course called Language Transfer. It's actually an app that you can just download to your phone. The course is basically providing the structure and foundation for learning Spanish, and it uses what you already know in English and then transfers it to Spanish. Once you learn the right thinking, it actually unlocks a lot of vocabulary that you already know from English, which is a lot. It's actually surprisingly easy when you know English to kind of figure out what a lot of the words mean. And this is what the language transfer course does. It's basically transferring what you already know in English into Spanish. Like if, for example, if you have information, it's going to be información. And then to inform someone, that's going to be informar. So you can always take like those words that ends with shun in English, you can take those and make it into words in Spanish. A lot of them, actually, a lot. So this is definitely different than learning Cantonese and Finnish, I'll tell you that. I personally don't like studying grammar at all. I like to take a much more intuitive approach to language learning. I mean, I called my website LingQtuitive for a reason. But Language Transfer takes a really interesting approach to it that I found very refreshing. It has helped me get a framework for Spanish and also get into the Spanish way of thinking. I'll leave a link to Language Transfer in the description of this video, as well as all the other resources that I'll talk about in this video. So after using Language Transfer for a day or two, I felt like I needed a bit more to add to my Spanish learning, to get more of a foundation for understanding the language as well as speaking it. So I started using Pimsleur.
So I just got up, and my wife will be sleeping a bit longer, as she should, since she is pregnant. So I'll just start my day with listening to some Spanish materials as I unload the dishwasher, and then I'm going to do a workout and do some Pimsleur at the same time. Pimsleur is an audio-based course, and the lessons are about 25-30 minutes each. It starts off with a conversation between 2 people. This conversation is then broken down throughout the lesson into small digestible parts, and you're prompted yourself to answer these questions and give these responses in the Spanish that they teach you.
I have 17 euros.
Tengo 17 euros.
Tengo 17 euros.
Tengo 17 euros.
It's like this mini role-playing game a little bit, and it really gives you a solid foundation for your pronunciation. Pimsleur has a lot of repetition, which is something you really need in the beginning, so it's a very effective way to build up your listening and spoken abilities step by step. I found that I could easily do 2, 3, even 4 Pimsleur lessons every single day, because I could do it while I was doing other things, such as doing the dishes, doing a workout. So whenever I would have like a 5-minute break, I would just put on a Pimsleur lesson and just continue from wherever I left off.
I've got my coffee concoction here that I have for breakfast every morning. And I got like an hour in easily now. I did like almost 2 Pimsleur lessons. They're about half an hour each. And I did some language transfer. So yeah, now I'm just gonna start working, and I'll just keep doing some Spanish throughout the day.
If you want to check Pimsleur out and you're in one of these following countries, you can click on their link in my description and you will get a 7-day free trial. If you're in any other country other than these, then you can click on the same link and get a free lesson. And honestly, only using Pimsleur, that will get you going in learning a language and give you a good foundation. You can also add Language Transfer into the mix if you're learning one of the languages that they offer. So already before I even started learning Spanish, I decided I was gonna have a speaking session after only 1 week of learning Spanish. I've actually never booked a speaking session that early in my language learning.
Only thing is, this lesson is in 2 days' time. It's
Thursday today, and it's day 5 of my Spanish learning. So I'm gonna have a lesson on day 7 of this Spanish learning project. And man, I'm nervous. I'm excited too. I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to actually say, but I'm gonna use as much Spanish as possible and as little English as possible. I guess I'll just have to do like hand gestures and things like that. This actually gave me a bit of stress. I was like, oh no. How am I gonna do this? Knowing I had so little time to build my Spanish to a level where I could actually have a conversation with someone in just a week definitely put a fire under me. And if you want to see how the lesson went, then stay until the end of this video. So in order to prepare for this, I just wrote down some simple phrases, some questions, some responses, a little bit about myself, and I did this by just using Google Translate. This is actually a great way to prepare for your first conversation, especially if it's really early in your language learning, because first conversations with people are often very predictable. This day is approaching its end of Spanish learning, and what I'm doing right now is I'm just sitting at the computer and just writing down just some useful phrases that I think I'm going to be needing to use when I talk to people. Like, for example, soy sueco pero vivo en Finlandia. I'm Swedish, but I live in Finland. Mi esposa es finlandesa. My wife is Finnish. Like these types of things that usually come up very early in conversations. Throughout the week, I just kept adding to this list in preparation for my lesson. If you'd like to know exactly what vocabulary I was learning in preparation for my lesson, then you can click on the link in my description and download a sheet where it will have all the words and phrases and vocabulary that I was studying and just going through in preparation for my lesson. So Pimsleur was working really well and I was learning quickly using that, but just like any type of language learning material, it doesn't provide you everything you need. Its strengths, which is a lot of repetition, is actually also its weakness, because when you are learning a language, you actually need to know a lot of words. And with Pimsleur, you're not getting like a huge amount of new words. So I decided to add my favorite language learning resource, LingQ, into the mix. I found some podcasts. They have a lot of Spanish material in LingQ. So I found that there and I just started listening to it and reading at the same time. And it was just a really good way for me to get some context, just to hear the language as a whole, like just hear how it flows and all those things. And then there's certain things stand out and I can see how these words are being used in context. I've used LingQ for years now to learn both Cantonese and Finnish, and my wife has used it very successfully learning Swedish. And it's just such a brilliant resource for getting input. In other words, listening and reading. It's just so important to get natural speech in the form of someone sharing a story, what they did at work that day, just longer stretches of the language. This is literally the difference between I am so overwhelmed, I understand nothing of what people are saying, to comfortably understanding what people are saying even when they are speaking fast. This is of course a process that takes a lot of time, but I just figured I want to get started with this as soon as possible. So LingQ has some mini stories, and that's what I started listening to, and I can listen to them many times. I can read them, click on the words that I don't know and see their definition. So it's really so useful. And I find it so refreshing to use with Spanish, because compared to Finnish and Cantonese, Spanish has a lot of resources. It has like podcasts with the transcripts. It has like videos, like all sorts of stuff. There's just endless of learning material. Plus, it's a lot of fun to use that type of material. That's a lot more fun than using a dry grammar book. And you can import Netflix, YouTube clips, podcasts, blog posts, books, you name it. So basically, you're taking your own interests and using that as your language learning. And if you want to check out any of these resources, I'll leave links to all of them in my description. So now, the moment you all have been waiting for, maybe even the reason you clicked on this video. How good was actually my Spanish after less than a week of learning it? Well, let's take a look.
Hola, Cristian. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Súper bien.
Súper bien.
Me alegro de verte.
Alegro de verte. ¿Ah?
Me alegro
Yeah.
de verte. Me alegro de verte.
Me alegro de verte. Ah.
Nice to see you.
Ah, ok. Ok. Encantado. Y
Encantado.
mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto. Ajá. Muy bien. Y Cristian, ¿y cuándo viajas a España?
Viajamos a España en viernes. Es decir, en 6 días.
En 6
En
días.
6
Wow.
días. Yo pronto,
Y-
más pronto.
¿Estás emocionado? ¿Estás emocionado?
Oh, estoy mucho emocionado.
Muy emocionado, vale. Y tú, Cristian, ¿qué haces?
¿Qué haces? Hazlo.
¿Qué hago?
¿Qué hago? ¿Qué hago? Yo trabajando desde casa, como tú. Eh, em, trabajo como freelance. Como
Sí, en
freelance.
español freelance también, freelance.
También, ok. Freelance, por ejemplo, traduzco, transcribo y cosas así. Y también enseño sueco y inglés en línea,
Muy bien,
como tú.
muy bien. Y
Pero no
bueno,
español. No español.
español.
Todavía.
En el futuro.
El futuro.
Ah, en el futuro.
Vemos,
¿Y
vemos.
estás estudiando chino? ¿Chino?
Estudiando cantonés.
Eso, cantonés. Y otro, ¿no? ¿Qué más?
Hablo cantonés, finlandés, sueco, noruega y inglés.
Wow. ¿Y cuál es el más difícil para ti? Lo
¿Cuál es más
difícil.
difícil? Creo
¿Cantonés?
sí, pero nada es difícil. Pero unas cosas necesitan más tiempo.
Me gusta, me gusta, me gusta. Me gusta.
Te gusta. Just finished my first speaking session in Spanish. I spoke a whole hour and used no English, maybe 4 or 5 words. That's it. Yeah. Mission accomplished. Feels really good. You know, I've got a lot to learn. It was very good. You know, he was very understandable for me, and he just had a great teaching style. So that was awesome. And there were many times where I wanted to say certain things like that makes sense, or I believe so, or I'm not sure, things like that, where I didn't know how to say it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the lesson and add that to my vocabulary. Hope you guys enjoyed this video of my first week of learning Spanish intensely, and that it gave you some ideas of what learning a language from scratch can look like. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you will see when I put out more videos like this. You'll definitely be seeing more videos about my Spanish learning journey, and man, it's gonna be a fun ride. So until next time, adios por ahora, mis amigos. Ciao.